Welcome to the Not Your Average Marriage podcast, hosted by my mom and dad, Shanita and Rashad.
All right, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Not Your Average Marriage podcast, and we are back. Got to be completely honest with you, folks.
We are doing this entire podcast for a second time.
Yeah, this is the second time we're doing this. Had some audio issues the first time we did it, and couldn't. It was going to take too long to edit it. So hopefully the second time we do this will come out just as good as the first time, because it was a good episode, and we apologize for the delay on getting this episode out, because I typically like to get these out over the weekend, either Sunday or Monday. So our bad. So what did we where did we start off? I think we started off talking about
update from last week, our podcast last week, where we talked about quarantine, current events, Black Lives Matter, and kind of the response we received from friends, neighbors. There's people's I guess they had questions, and it was a good response. People were open to, asking more questions. A lot of people reached out.
Yeah, it was very interesting. A lot of good conversations sparked from neighbors, and just good questions. And again, we're always open for the discussion. But I think I said this last time. We don't want to be like the official spokesperson for all Black people that you know.
Completely different. We're all different.
Yeah, we're all completely different, and we can only share our experience and how we process things, and we're probably completely different from the next Black person you ask. But
But we're open to the questions. If we don't have the answer, we'll try to help you find the answer. But definitely open to questions that you don't know if you don't ask. Yeah,
for sure. So, I mean, when we talked about it, there has been another shooting since the last time we recorded. Rashad Brooks was shot down or gunned down in Atlanta by a police officer. A little bit different scenario. We talked about how he took the taser, and I don't know. Again, there's still a lot of details that we don't know about this one, so we'll hold our thoughts until till all the details come out.
And I personally have not watched anything about that one, just because you got to draw the line somewhere. Like, it's just been a lot for me. So I purposely haven't watched that whole big thing. I watched a little bit when I walked in on him watching his favorite show, CNN.
I got caught watching the news again.
So
that I don't watch.
But I thought it was something old. I didn't know it was something brand new that was happening. But I just decided not to really get into that one, just because your spirit can only take so much. So I take what I can, I leave what I can.
Yeah, I always, it's unfortunate, man. I think in this particular case, until further details come out, I think there were wrongdoing on both sides. Again, I think the ultimate, from my opinion, from what I know right now, I think what he did not, even though he took the guy's taser, what he did not justify his death. Right. A taser is a non-lethal weapon. But I'll leave it at that. I don't know any details. I'm just speaking from my experience. But, it's from what I know, not my experience, because I've never been tased before. So.
But I am glad our podcast sparked conversation with friends, church members, neighbors, to ask questions. We're always open to questions. I know we're kind of introverts and sometimes can seem a little standoffish, but we are definitely open to questions. I think we're pretty nice people. One of my neighbors specifically, she reached out to me. Apparently she's been reading this book that she said has helped her out, has helped her realize some of her prejudice that she didn't know she had, and kind of how we originally met. When I first met her, she told me she didn't grow up around a lot of Black people, and she just had a lot of questions for me, and she apologized for coming off the wrong way when we first met. But I honestly, I like that she asked me questions rather than just assuming things about me. But she said this book has helped her realize a lot of things that she didn't even notice that she was doing, and that, you know, that she needs to kind of reconsider the way she do things. But the name of the book, she sent it to me, is I'm Still Here, Black Dignity in a World Made for Whiteness by Austin Channing Brown. So she said it really helped her, and I know some other people say they've been reading it. It's a really good book. I personally have not read it, but it seemed to really have a big impact on her. So that might be, you know, if you're wondering, might be a good resource.
Yeah, and that effort from from our perspective, the effort for you to go out and read that, it says a lot. I know I've spoken to other neighbors that have gone out and watched different series or different movies. And again, if you go on Netflix right now, or you go on any hashtag not sponsored, but if you go on any, and for that book too, hashtag not sponsored. Oh, I want to kick back. But if you go, if you go back or if you go to watch any streaming service, there's all these movies that are popping up about, you know, whether they be, you know, fiction or nonfiction. There's a whole bunch of movies that kind of, you know, document some of the things that are going on. But there's just a lot. And again, we appreciate all the questions and everything that comes with this. I mean, even myself, just from this, it's at work. Like I've been asked to like organize this event at work for all of Michelin IT, and it's just weird how, you know, we've been asked to kind of share personal stories, and so we'll be doing that I think next week. But we have an African American network at work, and so, you know, they've you know decided to partner up with our IT department, and you know we're about to put on this event. So hopefully some of these things that we're discussing and you know bring awareness to what's going on and shed light to some of the things that aren't, you know, prevalent outside of the killings, right? So like even the story that I'm going to share is the same story I shared last week about how I essentially have two different identities. I have my name, which is Rashad, and that identity is with my friend. All my friends know me as Rashad. Then I have a complete other identity at work, which is Ed, and it's just something that I've been, you know, conditioned to kind of deal with, and it's not something that everybody thinks we have to deal on a day-to-day basis. So that's kind of the story I'm going to share, and hopefully that, you know, that helps people understand like some of the things we got to deal with. So that was pretty much.
So yeah. So if y'all have any questions, let us know. And since last week, also we didn't. No, we hadn't gone then, but after that last week's podcast, that's when we went to the Black Lives Matter protest in Huntersville. We took our girls with us. Yep. So if you have not seen our video for that, we have posted that. So go back and look at that. It was a great experience for our girls, for us as well. So
and funny thing, was hosted by Alex. I forgot her last name, so I apologize. Drakeford. Alex Drakeford. This young lady, she did an amazing job putting this together. Actually, come to find out, was Elena's piano teacher for a stint when Elena was experimenting with the piano. She's got a really good future ahead of her. I think she's, not to put her business out there, but I think it needs to be, you know, shouted out that she's going to study politics in DC at a university in DC. So she's like right on the path. And shout out to the Charlotte Mecklenburg County Sheriff. He was out there too. He spoke. It was great. You know, and if you happen to watch Channel ID, you will know who are. I
don't think anybody watches it as much as you.
You know, people watch Channel ID. Okay. So people watch Channel ID. You will know him from, I think, Homicide Hunters. He's our.
Okay, Rashad.
I think that's the show. Okay. My bad. All right.
So
hashtag not sponsored.
Other updates, we had Recital on Sunday. Our girls had their recital after about 2-3 months of Zoom classes. So that recital was interesting. It was socially distanced. Parents were outside watching while the girls danced inside on the stage. I was a dance mom inside in the cool AC.
And I was outside baking in the. It wasn't hot though. It wasn't hot, but the sun was just beaming. Right. So like it was just cooking you. And then people, you know, had the screen wasn't huge. I mean, it was a nice size screen, but it wasn't huge. And so you got people like blocking you with their umbrellas. So it was. I mean, it was. shout out to Studio 73. Shout out to Miss Michelle.
She worked hard to get that done. She was like, it's happening. This recital is happening. Like, it was a lot of hurdles and changes, and I know she was emailing us like every other day, but she was determined to make it happen, and the girls enjoyed it. They like, getting dressed up, and they worked all year since last August on these dances, so they got to showcase it, so that was great. I did a video on the girls' recital day of them getting ready for recital and just their whole recital day, so you can go and watch that video as well. It was my first video. I edited and did all by myself.
Yeah, this one is taking over my computer over here. That I kind of showed her how to do it, and she's kind of taking off with the editing. So it's pretty cool. It is fun. And I tell you what, if you ever want to like burn time and like just lose track of time, and you just want to get something done, edit some videos. It just, you get lost in it, and it just, you just go. It's kind of fun, especially when you got a lot of film to go through. But yeah, no, that was cool. But yeah, no, recital was dope, and I think what registration for the new season has already started. So
yep, that was today. So you'll see it coming out the bank account.
Yeah, about that.
All right.
Hashtag Dance Dad Life. But yeah, that was it. Recital was dope.
That's
so
all updates.
All the updates are done. So what is our topic for today?
So our topic this week, we are talking about marriage counseling. Should you get it? When to get it? Why should you get it? So we have recently started marriage counseling. I think a lot of people do the premarital counseling because they're like, oh, okay, well, we need to figure out, if we're on the same wavelength, if we have the same goals, if we're headed in the same direction. So I think a lot of people get the premarital counseling either by choice or sometimes it's required by the pastor that's doing the ceremony. But after that, I kind of think marriage is not thought about until something goes wrong or until it's almost, your marriage is in jeopardy of a divorce. So it's kind of like 0 to 100, like premarital. You don't think about it no more until like something happens. So for us, of course, our relationships have problems, but for us, I think we kind of wanted to get something in place or to implement something before we got to the point where it was kind of already going downhill.
Yeah.
So and I have a background in social work, so I used to do therapy, but I kind of was like, let's do it now to kind of, because it can always help you, especially with communication and opening it up more. Even though we've been together for 15 years, it's still a lot to learn. I think I kind of knew what to expect, but it was very eye-opening for him. I think. For me too, I learned a lot too. But I think for both of us together, it was definitely a different new experience. Yeah, no, for me, this is my first time, and I was never like against going to therapy, but like it's just you don't like really know what to expect, so you're like just like, what am I doing? Who am I talking to? Telling all my business to some person. But no, I think it has been great because we're still in it, and it's great to, and I think more so for us, it was just more about how to communicate, communicate properly, right? So like we handle things a little bit differently, and I think we're learning how to better communicate. And again, like you said, after 15 years, you would think, things are, you would have a way of doing things, but I think what happens is over time, you kind of start taking your partner for granted, and you kind of get in your routine, and things just happen the way they happen. Especially with kids and businesses, you just get busy and you just kind of get comfortable. Yeah, you
get comfortable, you lose track of yourself, and it's like, man, we gotta figure something. We gotta hit the reset button and kind of find yourselves again. And I think that's kind of been the biggest thing for us. But it's been dope. I mean, I just the story that's funny because we had to take this little assessment thing, and it's a really funny story because this assessment kind of made me.
The assessment is supposed to get background information on you personally, because we had one-on-one sessions with her as well. So she had us take this assessment beforehand, and it asked about your family background, your personality, kind of, just things you used to or things that you were growing up with. And he got a little bit offended by the assessment, not the therapist, the assessment.
No, the assessment asked me like about like my dad, and so just to give you backstory, I think I said this 100 times, but my dad decided to go to the military, and my dad like served in Desert Storm, and and so he was gone a lot. Like I remember times I was at my grandma's house, I hadn't seen my dad in a minute, and he would just go, and so it kind of the questionnaire asked me, it was like, was your father like absent in your life? And I'm like what is this thing trying to ask me? You know what I'm saying? Like what are you trying to say? Like my pops would never leave. Like that's not. So I took it the wrong way. And so the funny thing is, she said earlier she has a background in like social work. So we were laying in bed one day, and she kind of assessed me, and because I
didn't assess you. I just helped you understand the assessment.
You diagnosed me or something, and and so I was gonna say the big gray book. Do all social workers know about the big gray book?
Yes. Would you please continue?
All right, my bad. But the big gray book. But no, so we were laying in bed one day, and she was like, because my thing is, I would never like leave my daughters. Like for like divorce. I've said this before. Divorce is not an option. I would never like voluntarily get a divorce and leave my daughters. And so I think she was like, maybe that's why you maybe because your dad was...
But it wasn't just that. It wasn't just the divorce. Like anything. Like you're paranoid if something happens and you can't be with your girls, or you just make sure. I mean, you're a great dad. You spend a lot of time with them, but you make sure if y'all haven't done anything one-on-one in a long time, or you have to do this, or you have to have a daddy-daughter day, or you just real like anxious about it. Almost.
Yeah, no, I'm intentional. Let's say that I'm intentional with it. And so that I thought that assessment was trying to play me, and so that was a funny part of the experience.
So it wasn't saying did you have a deadbeat dad?
That's how I took it. When I read it, I was like, "What you trying to call? You trying to call my dad a deadbeat?" But nah,
it might be some implications.
Definitely not. My dad far from a deadbeat.
I just think it's funny for people who know us. It's funny that you got offended by that question, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I just checked nope and kept right on going.
Yeah.
But anyway, therapy has been great. It has.
Yeah, no, it's helped a lot. I mean, we've been up. I think the most recent time we were, and this doesn't really happen often, but we were up like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning the other night, like talking. You know what I'm saying? And trying to figure out, like we were on the verge of like a little scuffle, but like kind of talk. I mean, y'all married people know what I'm talking about.
A scuffle.
Married people know what I'm talking about. But we were on the verge of a communication issue. Let's put it that way. Mm-hmm. And like we were up like late at night, like talking about it, and like really saying, "Hey, this is how I felt. This is what I should have did, or maybe next time this is what I do." And so like that, it's helped out a lot, man. It really has. So again, if I think I said this, and I need to say this because I don't want to forget. But if you have an employee assistance program, make sure you go through your employer to check, because that's what we're using. We're using my employer assistance program, EAP, which offers us 8 sessions for free. So that's
I know, because for a lot of people it's like, I can't afford counseling or therapy,
and that was the biggest barrier for me. I was like, man, I'm not gonna pay somebody to like. But it's a good investment. It is a good investment.
It's a great investment. Even if you can only get one session, at least, because sometimes they can start off with, some activity or something that you're doing that you can continue to use.
Yeah, and that was the big thing, because when we started, she said, hey, you have, 8 sessions, and if you guys are in one place, I need to start here. But if you're in another place, we need to start here. So, it was great. So I would always try, again, if I knew what I know now, I would have been we would have been ready to pay for it.
Yeah,
but
and
it's
I
one
think
of
she
those
was a
things.
great therapist too, because like you said, she started where we were. We just jumped right into
we just
it.
jumped
It wasn't
straight into
so
Nah.
well, how you been? Like, she took that assessment to get our background, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
She didn't do like 3 sessions with me, 3 sessions with him to get our background and
But
family
we
life
didn't
and
even.
all that.
Yeah, but we didn't even.
She just kind of started where we were.
We didn't even do that assessment up front though.
Mm-mm.
That assessment.
Like, we started
came,
talking the first.
Yeah,
session.
the first we got to it the first day. I feel like our problems was pretty much solved after the first. The first session.
This one, after what, like the 3rd session, he was like, I don't even think we need to go today. What we going for? I was like, see, that's the problem. That's what happens.
But so that's the thing, is that she is good. I mean, she's the one we chose is good at her job, because the conversation just it switched and it goes somewhere you don't even think about it, and so it's continuing to go. And we actually have a session tomorrow, and I have no clue what we're going to talk about. But I think I'm kind of.
It's gonna be something.
It's gonna be something, and it's kind of interesting to see where it goes. So, but again, you like Shanita said earlier, you don't have to be in a bad place to get therapy. Yeah. Like, just get kind of, get
wherever
ahead of
you're
it.
at. It's just gonna. I think it's gonna make it better.
And therapy has a bad tone to it, and I guess I don't know in what communities, but it just has a bad. I don't know.
Like something is wrong with you.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong. It's just starts wherever you are, and it continues to make you better as a person or as a couple. So if you never thought about it, we would highly recommend it. Even if you're thinking about it, don't be like, oh, we ain't there yet. We fine. We not getting no divorce. I mean, it helps even when those times of disagreements, or if you're different in parenting, like anything. I would highly recommend it especially if you have an EAP, or there are some, and you can price match therapists too. Like they're different prices you can shop around. So highly recommend marriage counseling.
Yeah, check with your employers, man. A lot of employers nowadays, want to, or they may have that. Right. Sorry, the kids are right here. Well, y'all want come on, real quick.
Y'all want to say hi?
Real quick, cause y'all are.
Hi.
Okay. Goodbye.
See you later.
But yeah, so that's the EAP. Make sure you check with your employer, because you never know if you haven't. So.
Okay. So if y'all have any questions about marriage counseling, anything you might think about, just write us a comment or send us a message. Just let us know. We are willing to answer any questions.
Yeah.
But since counseling, we have started again, hashtag
not sponsored.
I purchased a card game that we play regularly, not every day, every now and then. But it's basically a relationship card game where you ask each other these random questions, and you're supposed to really think about the question and answer the question accordingly. They have different games. So one is like for dating couples, one is like for short-term couples, one like long-term couples, married couples. So it's a bunch of different games. But we have decided to answer one of those questions at the end of each podcast for you guys. And maybe you can answer those questions with your spouse or just alone. It doesn't matter, but the questions really get you to thinking. So the question that we have today...
Super thought-provoking, by the way. They make you think.
So the question that we are going to answer today is the question, why was it worth it?
Yes.
So obviously it's talking about your relationship, but it's just saying, why was it worth it?
Yeah, and sometimes these things are open to interpretation, so there's no like, hey, you need to answer it like this, or here's the context to the question. They're just open-ended questions. You kind of got to use your own imagination to answer the question. But
you want to go first?
No, you can go first. Ladies first.
So you would.
No, go ahead.
Why was it worth it? So for me, when I think about this question, I'm just thinking about why was it worth it? Why is all the relearning my husband after 15 years, going to counseling, just going through just, doing different things, trying to make it work, relearning myself sometimes, changing my habits. Why is all that worth it? And for me, it's worth it because we have built so much together, and when I think about our future together, I feel like we have a lot more to build, and I don't want to do that with anybody else or alone. So for me, it is worth it for every effort or everything I'm putting into it. It is worth the future that I see us having, even though we've already been together for 15 years and this is the future we dreamed about in college.
It is.
It is definitely, I know there's definitely more to come, so it's still worth it for me.
Yeah, no, it's pretty much the same answer for me. Like, we got 2 beautiful daughters, and that's they my world. So like, it's worth it for them. It's worth it to kind of, even before they existed, like just go back and remember where you were and how fun it was back then. And you don't have to leave that behind, right? That still exists somewhere.
No, we just had fun with Saturday night.
Yeah,
we was hanging out.
Exactly. That still exists somewhere. You just have to find it. So, but it's worth it, especially if you like she said, if we got businesses, we have this podcast. Like we keep reinventing different ways to kind of engage each other, and this podcast helps us both, communicate a little bit better as well. So. And then we started this YouTube channel, and I started my garden, and it's just like,
oh my gosh, that garden is gonna make its way into every episode.
I had to throw that in there, but my bad. All right, so hashtag lit garden. But yeah, no, but anyway, no, it's really worth it. Again, we built a lot together, and it's worth it trying to figure it out, and just look at it as a challenge, man. Sometimes you got to challenge yourself, and you got to accept the challenge to keep going. You don't want to leave that behind, so that's why it's worth it.
It's worth it.
It's worth it.
All right, so is that it?
That's it. Yeah. So
that's about it.
Yeah. So just a real quick, we want to hear your feedback on that too. So like if you are inclined, go ahead and leave a comment wherever you watch it or listen. Whether it's YouTube, whether it's Facebook. Just leave a comment, man, and maybe that'll help other people kind of realize why their relationship is worth it.
Even if you don't ask your partner that question, at least think about it for yourself. Why is it worth it?
Yeah, because I'm sure a lot of people have been in dark places in their relationships, and it's good to kind of reflect and share amongst other people, because I think one of the biggest things, and kind of going back to the therapy thing, is that like me, I don't have a lot of people to talk to about like my relationship. I keep it all to myself. And that's kind of destructive, right? You don't really have anybody to go out and like just share the stuff that you really want to share. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's good. Just keep it open ended. You don't have to give details, but if you want to share your experiences and share your comments, please do, because I think it'll help everybody.
Yep.
So, I think that's pretty much it. It's a nice, short, sweet podcast.
Yep. Don't forget to also follow us we have an Instagram page, Beard Family Vlog on Instagram. Our daughters have an Instagram page, the Beard Girls on Instagram as well. And we have a Facebook page.
And I'm going
Not Your Average Marriage.
I'm going to create an Instagram page.
I'm trying to keep talking so you can't hear him.
I'm going to create an Instagram page for my garden.
Nope.
Hashtag Beard Lit Garden.
That is a lame name.
Is it?
Beard Lit Garden. Nope. Go back to the drawing board with that one.
But no, my garden is dope, and I'm starting to get some fruit. Go back and watch. I think I posted the video. I think I'm going to do weekly. No, I won't do weekly. I do monthly. I do monthly vlog updates for my garden.
Okay, Farmer Ed.
For the people. But yeah, that's it. That's it. So
thank you guys. Leave your feedback, questions, everything.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you guys on the next episode.
Yep, as Lane say. Peace out.
Peace out.